This week, we're going to spend one more hour with 2020 before kicking it to the curb and turning our attention to what we all hope will be a better 2021. The last 12 months have changed our country and our state, perhaps forever. So let's begin at the beginning. Jason Doyle recaps January, February, and March.
January 2020 started right where December 2019 ended, with a freshly filed federal lawsuit between Indian gaming tribes and Governor Kevin Stitt. The governor wanted to initiate renegotiations for new gaming compacts, contending they expired at the end of 2019. The tribes disagreed and filed the suit.
I think every time Governor Stitt talks about gaming compacts, he misrepresents facts. And I don't know whether he means to or not, but just getting to the, he loves to say contract. I don't know why, but he knows it's not a contract.
The governor's legal team submitted their 41-page response to the lawsuit in mid-January, seeking an injunction to shut down slots and ball and dice gaming, arguing that until a new gaming compact is agreed to, the tribes are receiving, quote, unjust enrichment that will cause irreparable harm to the state.
Facts are, commercial gamers will come to Oklahoma tomorrow if I gave commercial gaming licenses that would pay our state $350 million. If Oklahomans, would they rather have $350 million or would they rather have $137 million? So let's just make sure this is a fair deal.
The Citizen Potawatomi Nation joined the federal lawsuit in January. Chairman John Barrett says while he wasn't happy with the original compacting process, he did believe the Choctaw, Chickasaws, and Cherokees were correct in their assertion that the gaming compacts automatically renewed.
We joined the suit because we believe that the agreement that we signed has carried over, and we are going to continue to operate. We're going to continue to pay our fees to the state, even though we don't believe they're legal. We did sign an agreement that says we would pay it, so we're going to pay it.
The chairman says his tribe also joined the lawsuit to have a voice in the matter this time around, something that didn't happen back in 2004 when only 4 tribes were needed.
P3 pulling up and knocking down.
One idea to break the impasse: betting on sports. Oklahoma State University professor John Holden has written several papers on sports gambling over the years.
It's a nice additional product. It has been shown it can bring people into casinos, but a state looking to sort of solve all of its fiscal problems by adding sports betting to casinos or sort of their lottery offerings are going to be sorely disappointed. The money just isn't there.
While that idea never materialized in 2020, the court case moved forward. It would be months before a federal judge made it known that the law agreed with the tribes and the compacts automatically renewed. Also in January, one Oklahoman was looking to the stars. Native Oklahoman and NASA Administrator Jim Bridenstine began his second year in the position, looking toward one of the space agency's most active years in a while.
We are going to launch American astronauts on American rockets from American soil for the first time since the retirement of the space shuttles in 2011. That's going to be a milestone for our country. I think the whole world is going to be watching.
February began with the start of the 2020 legislative session and an optimistic tone from the governor, who was looking to revamp Oklahoma's healthcare system at the time when COVID-19 was something far away in China and not yet changing everyday life in Oklahoma.
Let's partner together to fully integrate by the year 2022 the functions of the State Department of Health, the Oklahoma Healthcare Authority, the Department of Mental Health, and others, as well as all of the state's licensing boards that deal with health.
One of the issues the legislature addressed early on was moving criminal justice reform forward. One bill would do that by creating a statewide mental health court system.
So Oklahoma currently has mental health courts in about 17 counties. We need it in all 77 counties because we're able to save about $15,000 a year by putting somebody through a mental health court as opposed to incarcerating them.
However, like many other pieces of legislation, the coming pandemic pushed the issue to the sidelines. A group of law students also worked to help nonviolent offenders currently in the system. Alongside the Tulsa County Public Defender, the students engaged the Pardon and Parole Board process.
It was hard. It's hard because you do your best, but at the end of the day, you have to respect the Pardon and Parole Board's decision. They don't make those decisions lightly.
Oklahoma's leaders launched a rebranding of the state in mid-February, bringing us the new slogan, Imagine That.
It's the world's largest collection of American Western art. Imagine that. more shoreline than the Atlantic coast. Imagine that. Number one city for entrepreneurs. Why are we not talking about this? Imagine that.
And I stand before you today and challenge anyone that calls Oklahoma a flyover state. We are not a flyover state. Oklahoma is a destination. Now let's go tell the rest of the world about it.
March brought Super Tuesday with it, kicking off the 2020 election cycle. President Trump easily won the state's Republicans in the primary, with Joe Biden winning Oklahoma's Democrats' pledge of support. Oklahoma was actually part of Biden's comeback after a slow start in the primaries.
Interestingly, but not surprisingly, a lot of people did not know who they were going to vote for 24, 48 hours before the election because so much changed in those last 72 hours.
The March primary did show, even with a virtually non-contested race, that Oklahoma Republicans would show up in force to support the president.
In Oklahoma, only 6,000 more Democrats voted than Republicans yesterday when Republicans have a non-competitive primary. The Democrats altogether had, I believe, 306,000 votes. Donald Trump on his own got, what, 279,000?
The game tonight has been postponed.
And then everything changed on the night of March 11th as Thunder fans were settling in for a home game against Utah that had playoff implications. That night, Jazz center Rudy Gobert tested positive for COVID-19.
We quickly received a presumptive positive test result at about 6:45 last evening, just a few minutes before the game with the Oklahoma City Thunder.
The NBA suspended its season the next day, and other sports, both college and pro, quickly followed suit. Cases of COVID-19 began popping up first in Tulsa and then Altus, even the state capital, as testing slowly got underway to detect cases of COVID. The very next week, Congress passed a coronavirus relief package, the $104 billion Families First Coronavirus Response Act. The package shored up unemployment insurance, allowed for free testing for COVID-19, and mandated up to 10 days of paid sick leave for businesses with less than 500 employees. That mandate resulted in a no vote from Oklahoma's U.S. Senators Jim Inhofe and James Lankford.
Small businesses in my state are closed. Many retailers and restaurants, many small businesses are really struggling with how they're going to pay for this when they have no income coming in right now.
This was the second round of aid passed by Congress, with the largest package, the CARES Act, still being crafted in Congress. The Oklahoma State Board of Education at that time decided distance learning was necessary to keep students and educators safe, with OETA lending its board chairwoman's efforts a hand.
We are grateful that they are working at OETA very hard to connect with our curriculum and instruction team here and looking at programming that is already grade specific, subject and content specific, and how that will connect with our Oklahoma academic standards.
Soon, distance learning would become an all too common phrase for Oklahoma students and parents. Jason Doyle, the Oklahoma News Report.